What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. Good morning, great morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world right now. I'm glad we're all here together. Good morning, CTM family. That's right. Prayers for sure. So this is important. First of all, people are cold. Temperatures near below zero. People without power. People with infants. It's some serious stuff over there. This is happening in Texas, in the United States of America. It's important also, right? Because none of their, solar power is working, right? None of their solar power. Did Warren just invest in some good old oil companies? What's going on with oil? Is it going to keep rising? How, if we're doing this new whole green initiative, could there be a place for oil? We'll talk about it all. It's going to be a fire session. It's going to be an absolute fire session. I'm looking forward to it. We got a lot to talk about. We have Bitcoin at 51,000. That's nice. We'll get to that later. Good morning. Great morning to everyone. Really. I mean, I can't even imagine. And people can't get really out of their house either with the snow, right? So anyway, I hope that they get power soon, and I know the beautiful people of Texas will definitely be neighborly, helping each other, doing everything they can to survive. Let's offer our prayers today for sure, and hopefully that situation, we've seen the worst. I hope. Bitcoin over here, 51,000. We're gonna talk about the markets. The title of this episode here is what happens. This was brought about by this question over here on Twitter. Jordan, can we talk about the expected correlation disconnect between Bitcoin and traditional markets? Where are we standing as of right now? Right now, we're in February, first quarter 2021. At the particular point we are in the Bitcoin's bull market phase, we'll talk about it all. If the market's correct 10%, how could that affect Bitcoin? I love it. Why do I love it? Because always looking for their risk. Right now, Jordan, this is the translation. Jordan, I'm really involved in this Bitcoin trade. I'm sitting pretty. What are my risks? What happens if the stock market corrects, right? Stock markets are having a good year, right? Ever since January, we're seeing the stock market over here, the S&P rising about what? Probably about 4%. Here's January the 4th, when the markets opened up down over here. Markets are up 5.8%. So by the way, the expected yearly return on average of the S&P 500 is somewhere around what? 8-9%. Stock market's already up 5.8%. But however, this time things are different, right? They're not different in the fact that there's going to be another crisis. Janet Yellen, U.S. Treasury Secretary, former Fed chairman, there'll never be another crisis in our lifetime, Yellen. There will be another crisis in our lifetime. We all knew that, right? How did she get that wrong? Should I listen to someone that has a history of getting things really wrong? I personally don't do that. But I do use them as a point of reference to know where the wrong side of the trade is, right? And we'll talk about all of that as we get going here throughout all of this. But nevertheless, 5.8%. What's Bitcoin doing in that same time frame over here? I mean, I said in the first quarter of 2021, I said that several months early, we would see the price of Bitcoin really disconnecting. And just so you see what that's like, that's up 73%, 74%, whatever it is, it's high. I had the wrong calculation on the S&P 500. I was using not January 1st, I was using the 4th. So it's about 4.5%, either which way, 5%, 6%, or 74%. Oil's having a good year too. Oil at $60 right now, right? Oil we need to talk about this morning, so I'm going to fit it in over here really quick as we're talking about the S&P, as we're talking about the Bitcoin and what a correction might look like. But, oil has since hit my ultimate price target at 59.18. Right? Breaking out of this channel. This is what I was targeting first over here, right? Around 58.38 and then ultimately 59.18. So it's now what type of gain are we looking at in oil since the 1st of January, right? Let's say down over here, we're looking at a nice 25% gain. Got to get that WTI, 25% gains out there, right? What's one of the easiest trades? quote unquote easy. There's nothing easy about it that I've been talking about, making it very clear. Look over here. What is that? Well, that's 47%. It seems a little more attractive than oil. Seems a lot safer also, but we'll get into that in a little bit. First, I want to continue talking about what's going on over here on WTI because things have changed, taking out my resistance over here at 59.18. That's where I was targeting from down over here. Now I have to reassess. And now that we've broken out, retested this important resistance level, confirming as support, breaking out above. You see that over here? This is conquering the markets all day long, but we're taking out an important resistance level. Right? Over here, let's take a look at it. 59.18. I just flipped it into support. Right? What are we targeting now on oil? Are we targeting in the $65 area next? Are we going higher? I don't know. What I know is to follow what price is doing right now in taking out that important, and this was a take profit level, by the way, and you didn't need to be cute trying to get the top tick. This whole area over here where price consolidated underneath the resistance, at taking out the 58.37, that's profit taking area. Don't ever try to be cute, right? So anyway, but since we've now broken that resistance, that changes things. That opens up, as you know, room for further upside, right? Now, it doesn't mean that this resumption right here that's taking place right now is necessarily going to hold. If it does, that's just a light swing level right over here. And if it does, yeah, if you're interested, you want to be a part of that, right? Or is it possible that we come back down further and test into the support over here at 56? Yeah, that's not such a bad pullback at all. All of that would be healthy as long as we stay above this 50 area, this support over here. It's extremely bullish. Look at this trend line over here, Dave. Big shout out to Dave. Went ahead and said, Jordan, take a look at this trend line over here, starting back. This is a 12-year trend line starting back in 2008, right? You could see the work that I did. Dave, I hope you're watching this right now. I know you said that you were working during the day, watching the live streams on the replay. Big shout out. And you can see over here how I went ahead and added that line, a touch over here. And again, over here, we've also broken out of that multi-year trend line as we're seeing all commodities run. Do you notice how that was like, that's almost the same trend lines that the commodity sector in general just broke out of recently? Oil is a commodity, right? Massive amount of QE, $315 billion monthly coming from the G10. That money's got to go somewhere. It's bidding up commodities, right? So anyway, that's oil, and it's important to talk about today as it's taking out that important level. That's how it look. So, I mean, because that's what the market, because, I mean, listen, I can't answer that question right now, only to tell you to keep watching. Right? That's just consistent of how of my 208 and why. It's different than everyone else because I'm self-taught, but it works the most effective than of anywhere else that I know. So, Luke, I'm glad that you're back. You got it. Thank you, Yvette. But I can't talk about that right now because I got to continue with the flow. We got a big session ahead of us over here, a lot to talk about, and just taking a look at the fact that what would happen if the S&P of the traditional markets corrected 10%. Now that happened over here in September, right? This is, 8-hour chart. In September, we saw a 10% correction on the S&P 500, lasting for the duration almost of the month of September, bounced a little bit, and then came back down and retested that low. That was almost another 9.5% correction, that one lasting 2 months. So for the month of September, we had a 10% correction and then still lasting for 2 months, testing again in October, right? 10% correct. What did Bitcoin do? This is, by the way, this is still in the third quarter, right? Third quarter 2020. I've always said in the first quarter 2021, Bitcoin will begin to break all correlations. We've already seen that Bitcoin up 78% this month, this year, in the past 2 months, and we're seeing at the same time the S&P up 5%, right? Huge break of correlations, obviously. So what happened to Bitcoin during that particular time? We've talked about it before, but look, there's a lot of people joining us. You need to understand it as well. The only way that you can ride the bull of all bulls, Bitcoin, is by understanding the trade. It's the only way that you will have the fortitude to be able to ride the bull. Otherwise, you're like, 38,000 Bitcoin. What did Brent Johnson take profit at 27,000? And I was like, you took profits at 27,000? He's like, yeah, more at 38,000. You took profits at 38,000? Do you not understand the 4-year cycle and what's going on in the monetary system? You know, so anyway, it's important everyone understands. Go back over here to September. This is September on Bitcoin over here. September the 3rd over here. Bitcoin in that time frame, why the S&P traded down 10% was down 3%. Okay, then it go to the end of October where the S&P traded back down 9.5%. This is before the correlations broke, by the way. This is before the correlations broke. And you can see Bitcoin's up, I don't know, 11%, 10%, call it. Why the S&P is down 9%. Bitcoin, that's before the correlation broke. What's going to happen now if the S&P has a correction? Look at this massive comment over here. Rising bond yields, right? This is from yesterday's video. Rising, as we were talking about the rising yields. That correlates with asset prices going down, right? Are we going to see pressure on asset prices, or is there so much liquidity out there causing this massive amount of inflation? The government's set to print another $1.9 trillion in stimulus. Yep. Jay, we'll come back to that in a second. Let me figure this out. So if Bitcoin is not affected by rising yields, because Bitcoin's rising as yields rise, what's happening to gold right now? What's happening to silver? Gold and silver, as the yields are rising over here, they're going sideways and downwards still. Right? Sideways and downwards still. Now, it's all very bullish longer term for the two, I believe. But nevertheless, they're being held back. Held back sideways is pretty bullish, right? What's going to win? The devaluation of the purchasing power of the dollar or these precious metals? Over here, by the way, gold, we have to look at this in a little bit. This is into a buy zone right now off that support. What happens if we break down over here? Is it possible we're going to break down? What would that mean? Could we see gold under further pressure? We're far away from breaking out the resistance we were tracking over here and over here just a couple of weeks ago. It looked like we might be possibly breaking out to the upside. But now, while we were saying, oh, buy over here, do you want to buy again over here? I don't know. Let's see what happens. We have to hold here. We have to resume off there. Never take the entry before you get the first sign that price is resuming. Nevertheless, gold and silver continue to be sloped downwards under pressure. Silver a little bit more bullish, so going sideways. Right? But Bitcoin's going up. Could that be a further confirmation that we are on the cycle? Right? By the way, thanks guys. Love the channel. Great comment, you know? And yes, of course, it is another confirmation that Bitcoin is doing what it's doing here, and it's the 4-year cycle. It's just a model. We were anticipating what was going to happen well in advance of it unfolding and occurring, as I am right now for the exit. Right? The quick question over here, third strategy on 3 ways to trade Bitcoin. If you're not familiar with the third strategy on how to trade Bitcoin during the bull market phase, absolutely go to the Bitcoin playlist on this channel, watch that video. If you are holding Cardano and Ethereum, would you also trim those as well? No, Jay, that's complicated. That's not what I do. So, but I could spell it out for you, right? So what's complicated? If Bitcoin moves into 70,000 next, is that our next, resistance level? We'll look at it as we get closer. When we were over here at 29,000, right, adding $150,000, $70,000, we have Will's resistance in that area. We'll look at it as we get close to it, but I'm not saying we can't have a 30% pullback right now. By the way, where does a 30% plus, where does that take you? Just so you're aware of your surroundings at all time. That would now take us down to up to 35,000. That number keeps rising as the price rises. That's good, right? That's good. Could we have a 38% drawdown, 39% drawdown? Where does that take us now? 32,000. What's your liquidation level right now if you're trading Bitcoin lightly leveraged, right? What is it? Was it 26, 27,000? Are you now raising that maybe up to 30, feeling a little bit more comfortable, right? Rising with price, understanding if price were to come down 30%, you might need to lighten that up a little bit because something's wrong. But right now, I'm not expecting that 30% drawdown. I'm just aware of it could happen and how I would have to manage my trades around it. By the way, it's all free. Everything we do here is free. The value here is absolutely enormous. And thank you for being that value for me, right? Thank you for the good mornings in the morning, the where you're at, lifting that growth mindset, helping me to continue to be a better person. Thank you for making me a better person. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. But if you're learning anything new, if you learn something new or you're happy to be here, go ahead and smash that like button. Do appreciate that very much. So, Jay, why it gets complicated? Jay, why it gets complicated is because if Bitcoin trades into the 70,000 and then consolidates at that resistance, maybe it consolidates for a couple of weeks and then blows towards 100,000. As it's consolidating, you could see altcoins run heavily. So I don't know. You gotta watch out for that. So either which way, I saw something for a big shout out to Brent at Santiago Capital. I think I'd jest, but I don't know what that was all about. Thank you, Kenneth, for smashing that like button. Do appreciate that. Let me keep going. So Giles, great. I'm glad I went back up here and caught that. Let's go back to gold. I got a lot I want to share with you, so I'm going to get to it all. It's going to be a really, really good session. So I'm looking forward to it, and that's why I'm talking about it. But this is a great question over here. Like, how could gold break out if it's so heavily manipulated? Well, look at gold ever since it broke out over here, right? Over here. This started really the bull run, in my opinion. I should have been buying more gold down over here. I don't know why I was waiting. Anyway, this is where I should have added to my physical silver. I don't know. Don't be cute. You don't need, don't be cute. You don't need to wait for $1,000. Anyway, you live and you learn. I'm always learning. That's for sure. Each and every session with you all, I know that I am learning over here. I mean, gold is in a massive in its bull market phase right now. I think if you compare past bull market runs on gold, count how many months those cycles generally last. Is it still early here? If you look at the average percent gain during those bull market cycles, is it still early here? Do we have just like granted in these monetary conditions that we're seeing right now, it's kind of like, why isn't gold running more than it is at this particular, but it is consolidating beautifully over here in this uptrend. And the longer this consolidates, and if it breaks out to the upside, it's going to be a powerful big move. It's just all about timing. Will gold go bid as they actually go ahead and find out where they're spending and start spending that $1.9 trillion stimulus, further devaluing the dollar? I think so, right? But we're seeing yields rise as we're seeing prices rise everywhere because the inflation's real. How did you miss that? How did you miss that? I just recorded. This is Stephen Van Metre, Emoji King. I just recorded a special edition for the macro show for Monday titled How the Fed Traps Dollars in the Financial System, because I have to do everything to reinforce my narrative. If you're not dollar bullish, bond bullish, or in the deflation camp, this will help you see the light. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely adverse to everything that we have been ever since the Fed acted. Wow. And then I'm reminded about your story of being down 60%. I am now down more. Could you imagine this was conquering the markets and we're just like, oh my goodness, we've been on the wrong side of the trade forever. I remember you talked about Jordan losing all this money and now I'm losing all this money. And then Steven's like, macro teaches two important things: to trust your research and patience. I don't know. That's not how we do things here. That's not how I do things at all. That's not what macro for me. Macro for me is understanding the financial landscape and then positioning it accordingly. And I don't have the luxury of patience. I have to be right. I have to be on the right side of the trade. And my research is not to trust my own narrative. My research has helped me to be on the right side of the trade as it's occurring, because I'm going to be wrong. I just need to make sure I get right as quick as possible, right? So on gold over here, these are seemingly ideal conditions for the precious metals, but they have not been pumping. Leading the pump, though, out of the stimulus, right? Gold was leading Bitcoin. Do you remember? Gold would do the hard work, then silver would catch up, and then Bitcoin would run. And then silver started outperforming gold, and then slowly Bitcoin started outperforming everything. So out of the three right now anyway, obviously it's all about Bitcoin, right? And this is, again, gold Bitcoin. And I believe one of the continued easiest trades to ride over here in this particular circumstance. Nevertheless, all right, so we also have silver, right? And silver looks better than gold, in my opinion, where look at silver consolidating sideways. Is that a huge cup over here and now possibly coming in for a handle? either which way, the price action is beautiful. It looks a little bit more bullish. They both look bullish. It's just a question of when they're going to start running. In my opinion, could yields put further pressure on them? Maybe. I hope so. You know why? Because right now I'm involved in the most important trade that matters. And as I exit that trade and I'm interested in moving into precious metals, right? I hope so. I hope they're as low as possible because they're going to go higher in the long run. And if they're manipulated, they'll be manipulated for so long until they can't be, right? And that could happen overnight. That could be like a Plaza Accord 2.0 type situation. Could we run into 2021 this year, a situation where, you know, the ECB runs into trouble and then all of a sudden the financial system is adjusted? You know, what that would mean for the price of gold, I don't know. You know, I do know if you're like Peter Schiff and you're like, yeah, gold's going to 5,000, Bitcoin will never reach 50,000. Well, you know, if you can't see Bitcoin's on its way to 100,000 and relatively soon, do you think gold is going to double anytime soon? I don't see that happening over here. By the way, this is from Plan B over here. This says February the 14th. I'm assuming it's a couple of days ago. I don't know if it's from 2020 or not, but it's saying, do you think that Bitcoin will reach 208? Here's the choices. 45% of the people thought that 100K is where we're going to top out on Bitcoin, right? So could you imagine people that actually even follow Plan B and his work? People do not, the people's awareness, I think, is way off. But nevertheless, 100,000 Bitcoin, and Peter Schiff now sees that's going to happen. Why are you not involved then in Bitcoin? Jordan, I used to check the market outlook. I use this channel to check the market outlook. Why? Right? Because, I mean, anyone following this channel who's following the markets, no matter if it's equities markets, no matter if it's the dollar, no matter if it's gold, silver. By the way, what is Silvergate doing this morning? Looking to open up pre-market at 185, continuing to go parabolic over here as it opens. Let's check back in on that. Well, I digress. Where I was, whether it's oil, right? Can you imagine in 2020 crushing oil from early February, right? You know, or of course Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Of course, you're checking the channel for market outlook. But if you're like concerned that I'm focused on something other than that you're focused in on, right? I feel like it's just Bitcoin. I'm not excited. I just cannot accept the late entry at this point of peaking. You know, look, if you're following my work, how did you miss the Bitcoin trade? Also, if you're following my work, how do you not see there is so much room yet to run in Bitcoin? Right? This question over here that came up over, you know, this question, boom, boom. Where's my tweet? 70,000 Bitcoin is cheap. This was tweeted yesterday over here. 70,000, in my opinion, Bitcoin is cheap. Anything under the coming bear market phase low is cheap. What do I mean by that? Well, Michael Saylor has said, listen, Bitcoin's not volatile if your time horizon on Bitcoin is at least 4 years. Right? Because even if you buy the market top of the 4-year cycle, if you're waiting 4 years, the price is expected to be higher. Find another market, right? Now, listen, $70,000 in the coming bear market. Do I think price is going to trade below that? Am I alluding to the fact that I think 70,000 Bitcoin or thereabouts is going to be what we're looking at in the low of the coming bear market, and why that's important? If you could buy Bitcoin today at 50,000, or if Bitcoin right now was trading at 100,000 and we're looking at 250, 300,000, $350,000 Bitcoin, because it's way before September. We're not looking for the exit doors at all. Find me an asset that you feel is offering a better return with less risk. I would like to know about it, for real, right? Any which way. The question that came up from this was, boom, 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 boom. So you think 70,000 is the low of the next bear market phase? And I don't know right now. I will tell you soon. I've been saying that I will tell you by late March, early April. And then we have over here BitBadger. I think having analyzed previous cycles, he expects the floor to come sometime in March. There you go. Boom. Originally, he expected that around to be 30, 40,000. Perfect. That's exactly correct. And then I found out I was wrong. right? Do you remember when I found out that I was wrong? Over here, we have a chart. This chart over here, price was somewhere around over here at the time. And I was like, I'm wrong. We're not, first of all, I'm doing the math, and I think that this is going to be a shorter cycle. What did I do? I used the cycle low to how many days to halving. I then went the other way out, less 2%, which happened in the first and second cycle. That was the cycle peak. That's why you've heard the date September 21st. Now, is September 21st going to be the peak of Bitcoin? I have no idea. But I know that it's situational awareness. I know around that time I'm going to be looking for the exit. I'm going to be following price. And why I don't know what the price of Bitcoin is going to be at the top, I know that I'm going to get out at the top of the cycle. All right, so either which way, I said, you know what, I'm wrong. We're not seeing diminishing returns. We're seeing actually increased returns in a shorter time frame, putting everything together, just getting on the right side of the trade, coming back over here, boom. But price is already suggesting significantly higher. This is exactly what happened. That's great. And how important. Can you imagine I just kept painting that same narrative? Where are we over here? Could you imagine? I already deleted them. Could you imagine I just kept saying or just doing everything to support my opinion in the first place instead of trying to get right? That's not how we do things over here, though. So, boom. He used to say Bitcoin under 30K is cheap. That's when it was still at 10K. That's correct. I adjusted that, and I'm adjusting it again when I say anything under 70,000 is cheap. And I'm telling you that as Bitcoin's at 50,000, not after the fact, before the fact. As always, exactly, going with the flow as we get towards mid-March, the stock to flow halving tracker, boom. Then we get over here. We get over here to this over here. Let me show you this. This is Plan B's chart. This is how many months to the halving. I have shared with you before how the cycle low, approximately 15 months to the next halving. You could see it over here on the halving tracker in this area over here. This is the cycle low. It's going to happen again. How far that drawdown will it be an 80, 85% drawdown? Well, that I expect, but I don't know. I do know when it will be, though, right? I do know when it will be, though. There was a question over here. You said to expect an 80% drawdown from the top. So that suggests you were looking at 35,000. So he's saying if you're looking at 70,000 Bitcoin as the bear market low, you're saying that we are going to go to approximately 350 to the, I don't know. We're all looking in the same spot. We'll see where price takes us. The reason I don't need to put a price target on that is because I know my timing is going to allow me to get out better if I'm not focused on price. I'm focused on price action. I don't know, but I do know I'll be exiting at the top of the cycle. Now, coming back over here to this chart, Plan B over here, there was one other thing I wanted to show. Boom, get rid of that. Keep going. We have to stop a second and watch this video. I'm going to watch it with no sound. I'm going to watch it with no sound with you, right? Hold on one second. Because I think it's better. By the way, I don't even know why I had that up there, right? Satoshi tagged me over here. Yep, the real Satoshi tagged me over here. Was talking, that's what I want to talk about. I'm just going to getting out of the flow over here, right? Not out of the flow, out of the organization of the show that was planned for you. But just to stop over here. And yet now you have Peter Brandt talking about Bitcoin on its third parabolic move over here as it's great. Yes, right? But way to be preemptive. But you could see it over here that we're just getting going. If you're just following this guide, right? You could see that are we halfway? We're just getting 50,000 resistance up here, 250,000, right? The reason I bring that up was because to show you this beautiful chart over here. This is from, I follow on Twitter, Charts BTC. I love his charts over here throughout the time. It's showing the new all-time highs in the cycles. In the first cycle, we had 52 all-time highs. In the second cycle, we had 74. So far, we've only had 22, right? So if you think that like you missed it, where was that? Jordan, I don't see, I'm not excited about Bitcoin. I think we missed it. I'm trying to get you to understand the trade, to understand where you should be focusing your attention, where you should be focusing your capital. Because if you're interested in perhaps, oil at $60, yeah, maybe it's going to go up here. Maybe it's even going to go up. Let's see, 1 second. What happens if it made new 12-month highs, right? Could it go up another 25% over the next, few months? That would be excellent, right? Could it go up to $75? Could oil? Yeah, it looks like there's a good chance. You know, is that where you want to be focused? Anyway, this is beautiful. What else did I want to go over with you? A lot. I want to watch this video with you without sound. That's not it. That's just happy to be excited. Anyway, I wanted to watch a video with you. I'm going to jump back over to this. 15 months to the halving. If you go back to the left, if you come over here, this is, over here did how many days? So far, we're 119 days, you know, to the next halving coming up. 119 days is 36 months. Once we get to 35 months, this color right over here, 35 months to the next halving, I see over here that has been in the previous 2 cycles parallel with the price at the cycle low 15 months. You see it happening over here, 35 months, 15 months. If we're at 70,000, do I think 70,000 is going to be the low? Yes, I do. Am I positive? No. Is that extraordinarily helpful to me? Yes. What about in this one? 15 months, go to the right. 35 months, go to the right. 15 months. We have, at the end of March, early April, in that area, we will know where we are over here, 35 months to the next halving. Bitcoin is quoted monetary supply. For whatever reason, that equates with the bear market low. Do I think Bitcoin is cheap under that? Extraordinarily. Do I think that Bitcoin is a good trade above that? Absolutely. How about them apples over here? What else? By the way, if you're looking for the halving tracker, that's on Twitter. It's halving tracker, at halving tracker over there. And I love it because it tells me how many more days after the halving, right? In this case, I was just looking at how many days to the next halving. And I love the first chart. It's the only chart I use. This one that I share with you all the time. What else are we looking at over here? Something else. There was this. I'm going to go to this mentions over here. I got to find it for you. This right over here. Here we are. Watch this video. We're going to watch it without sound because I think it's better without sound. All right. So we got Elon over here at 10,000, right? Watch what happens over here. Anthony Papalano, Jack. You know, Dogecoin, 20,000. Bitcoin going up, right? Oh, yeah. The Winklevoss brothers, Gemini. Amazing work they've done. Bitcoin, Wall Street Bets getting involved here a little bit. All right. Bitcoin's going up 40,000 now. Oh, yeah. Elon, Tesla, $1.5 billion on the balance sheet. How much are those shareholders up already? Oh, yeah. Richest man in the world taking the position that matters in Bitcoin, you know? And there we are. And Bitcoin's trading at $50,000 today. We got to enjoy it. It's not something to be excited about. It's nothing to be excited about. It's business as usual. We need to stay focused. We need to stay on the right side of the trade. And we need to have that awareness all the time. You could see right now, I'm going to just go ahead and clean this up now. This channel that we've been in, it looks like we've broken out to the upside. Here's this. Let me just make that really neat for you really quick. And you could see that we've broken out to the upside. And then we're coming in for a retest right now. All right. So I'm just going to get rid of those keeping us where we were. We've broken out of the resistance. We're coming in for the retest. If we resume off this, Bitcoin has, it looks like Bitcoin's going to fly, right? What about on the downside? What are you watching? The most important thing for this current move that we're in, when I say current move, I mean since we broke out of the 30% drawdown and since we, out of that consolidation, since we broke the trend line, right? This trend line over here now is the most important thing to watch. As long as we stay above that, this move looks very, very healthy. Any move into that trend line will be viewed as a buying opportunity if it holds and resumes off of it. But right now, after a breakout of this consolidation here to the upside, resuming off that offers the next entry over here on Bitcoin. Bitcoin looking good, holding $50,000. What's going to happen over the next couple of months? When I pointed out Peter's chart of those 3 vertical moves on Bitcoin and showing that right now we're just getting started on this one. And then I showed the new all-time highs on charts of BTC, right? I don't know. I just lost the thought there. I'm going to keep moving on. 740 likes. Thank you each and everyone for being here. Thank you everyone for being here and supporting the channel. I appreciate it so much. I feel like it's been a very important session for myself. A lot to cover, a lot to learn all the time. So Paul's asking something that I needed to build off over there, right? What happens if the stock market crashes? What happens if the stock market comes off 40 or 50%, not just 10%, right? What's going to happen if there's a liquidity event? If there's any type of crisis, liquidity crisis in the markets, there's no question Bitcoin will be affected. During the last crisis, and don't forget what was going on over there, during the last crisis, the entire world went on lockdown. The economy went to a standstill. Now, we've not recovered from that, but that was the situation. And Bitcoin went off 60% from that. Gold went off only 15%. Keep that in mind. During the 2008 crisis, gold was off 30%. So gold was off a lot less. During the next crisis, will gold be off again or will gold be up? Right? But we're not seeing any signs of any type of liquidity crisis. Don't forget, coming into the March crisis, let me just pull up a chart of what? Of the S&P 500, right? Back in March over here. When this happened, we were having this crisis started all the way in September of 2019 with the repo market. There were problems going on that we were talking about repeatedly that started in September, and the Fed was intervening in the market every day and then didn't stop after December as it had hoped, and this was continuing. So the system was already broke. Was this the excuse to fix it? Or not fix it, but to put the Band-Aids on to unleash a massive amount of global liquidity? That's what happened, right? None of that is happening right now. Actually, we're just coming off all of that liquidity being added. Not only all that liquidity, right, from central banks. It wasn't just the Fed, everyone but China. And that's interesting. And that doesn't concern us right now. But China has not been expanding their monetary supply. China's doing everything they can to get their house in order, so to speak, while the U.S. is borrowing off of their future at this moment, not just the U.S., the rest of the world. But right now, we're not seeing any signs of any type of problems in the financial system at all. When I saw yesterday, this was a little bit what's going on over there. When I saw the peso jumping up yesterday, so that's like something I have to watch. Is that an early warning sign? I don't know, but like I said, early. But I'll keep watching what's going on, and that's what I do and why I do it. It's the only way. You have to keep adapting as the market's ever evolving and flowing. But we're not seeing, there's no reason for the stock market to crash 40, 50% right now. If it does, at this point in Bitcoin's bull market, will it also come down with it? Of course, it'll be under pressure, right? If the stock market went down 50%, will Bitcoin go down 20%? Maybe. Will it go down 30% or more? Maybe. We're prepared for that. Is it going to be any type of black swan event? I sincerely don't think so. I sincerely don't think so, nor do I see that occurring, right? Anything could happen. It's the markets. We've seen oil go negative. Be aware for everything, but that's not a concern for myself. So, what else? What else? Well, so, brother, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here now. That's what's important, because the market's always going to be there. And there's always opportunity. Now, what we're doing is assessing where the least amount of risk is and the greatest amount of opportunity at all times, right? And that right now, you could see I'm hyper-focused on the most trade. I'm not going to be talking about Bitcoin from the top of the bear market, from the top of the bull market, till we're just getting ready before the low. There'll be a couple of videos I put out on the Bitcoin playlist preparing people for when they should be accumulating and why. But I'm not going to be talking about Bitcoin, except the fact that it's dropping, right? So, but right now, this is the most important trade that matters. I'm hyper-focused on Bitcoin. So I'm glad that you're here now, because there's so much opportunity. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's so much opportunity. It's absolutely ridiculous. Speaking of which, we have to look at FX. Just getting started over here, about 43 minutes in. I was checking out some comments over here to see where you all are at, but I'm going to flow right now and move over into FX to see what's going on. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, Charles, so the question is, perhaps the rise in Bitcoin and gold drop is what the central banks want. Have all the retail and corporate players sell gold so that the banks pick it up for the cheap? The reason that gold is the most heavily manipulated instrument in the world is because their whole charade falls apart if the price of gold starts rising, right? So no, I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that Bitcoin is just being Bitcoin. It's his 4-year cycle. The fact that the ultra easy monetary policies exist right now, and by the way, when I was talking before about the $315 billion monthly of QE purchases from the G10, now we have the $1.9 trillion stimulus bill. That's not going to be the last, and that's the worrying thing. If we start seeing more government spending, it's coming from the central banks, it's coming heavily from the government. If we start seeing even more, then we're really going to start seeing inflation really start to pick up, and it could really get out of control. If that doesn't happen and we don't see further government spending, then maybe things will kind of be able to maintain their current pace, which is also obviously worrying. I can't imagine being on the wrong side of 15% inflation yearly. But, follow the CPI. So, all right, let me come up over here. Yeah, so Mr. Wolf, we talked about this in yesterday's session. That's why it's important to follow each and every session as well as you could. You have to invest in yourself. If you want to do great things, you have to put in a great deal of work. That's for sure. But if Bitcoin is cheap, it was 48,000, right? Would I buy Bitcoin? And I was talking about the risk being to the upside. Right now, I'd be fully positioned in. As we get closer, towards $65,000. At that point, obviously, I wouldn't be recommending that. At that point, then the risk is no longer just to the upside. That's not happening right now. The risk continues to be to the upside. Could we have a 30% drawdown followed by a 30% drawdown relatively quick? Yeah, we can. It happened in the past, in the last cycle, a couple of times. Be aware of that. Watch out for that. So Bitcoin over here, $50,000. Ethereum continues to consolidate right over here at all-time highs. Ultra bullish. I can't believe that Binance is up another at all-time highs over here, up another 11% today. And then XMR also doing the same thing. Just interesting, right? Where do I want to focus in on, though? I want to see what's going on in FX today. The dollar is bid today, and why the dollar was bid, you see equities come off. You're seeing gold and silver slightly off for the DXY to be up 0.5%. I wanted to talk about that. We're still consolidating, right? And it's still trading sideways, but you could see something has happened over here where we've now taken out that light trend line again to the upside. There was resistance. We came back down, making a lower low, and now taking that up to the upside. That leads me to believe that we're going to be coming in and testing this trend line once again from where we are today, right? But nevertheless, we are still sideways on the dollar. Sorry about that. Sometimes the comments, they get me a little bit moved. Do you think other institutions will hold their money in gold instead of Bitcoin? Institutions don't hold their institutions, other than public companies. Is it more proven? We're seeing a huge outflow in gold ETFs and a huge inflow into Bitcoin. We're seeing a huge outflow of gold and a huge inflow into. Now, I'm curious to what happens at the cycle peak if we start seeing a big inflow into gold, because I know there will be people like myself who that's what they will be doing. So I'm wondering how big that becomes and what type of signal that becomes at the top of the peak of the Bitcoin bull market phase over here. If we start seeing outflows of pouring out of Bitcoin and into gold, bullish. But right now, anyway, Danny, some pairs are coming close for a retest of support. Let's check it out. JPY, thanks for setting my focus on where I wanted it to be, right? So what else? Silvergate on the open over here, just off its pre-market high, just continues to go parabolic, absolutely extraordinary. JPY, let's start with the Australian dollar, the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? So you have a nice bull flag over here developing, right? After breaking out over here, I don't see any resistance on this pair over here until we get a little bit higher. It's a lot of room to run. It's noisy though. You got light. You look at all of this supply over here. So it's not going to be a clean sweep or move up, I don't think. But 84 in that area, that's the next big resistance I'm looking at. 84.20. We got room to roam currently in a bull flag. Let's see if that's the most attractive thing. And also over here, you could add this trend line, right? You can see that trend line over there currently coming back into that support right now. All right. So what else? Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Similar situation. I could see the trend line right over here coming back into it. Also right now in this downward sloping channel into the area, buy accumulation area of support. We'll see what happens. None of them look attractive to me though right now. Yeah, that's right. That's something that that's all caps. That's like it's funny when people like I'm not going to name names. It's so funny if you after watching the training session of where I'm exiting Bitcoin, our last Thursday's CTM live training session. By the way, I will today get out tomorrow's announcement for tomorrow's training session today and post that in the Discord under announcements. But in last week's we were doing, exiting Bitcoin, what I'm looking at, what assets I'm looking at, and why to be exiting into during the coming bull market peak. And what I think the best trade for those next 12 months are going to be, looking at the best assets and then looking at Bitcoin versus altcoins. And then someone messages me and they're like, listen, what do you think about at the exiting into this asset? Because it could have this type of return, right? And it was everything that I outlined in the training. And I'm like, wait, did you watch the training session? Here's the link, right? Did you see it? Oh no, I had that on in the background. And then I had a dream about this happening. It was so fun. I love when people like present my work to me like as if, anyway, it's funny. Swiss franc, Japanese yen over here into this area of support. This kind of looks attractive. I wouldn't take a trade on it though. I don't like trading on this, but that looks beautiful. Look at this. Do you see that big, strong resistance broken out? Now coming in for that retest. That looks interesting to me. Let's see what else on the Japanese yen. I love the guy, so I don't want to name names or make it sound worse than it was. It was total innocent. He literally was listening to the training session while looking at charts in the background, and then had a dream about exactly what happened, and it was like this eureka moment. Like, Jordan, look at this. This is amazing. It was so funny. Over here, you could see Euro Japanese yen off that resistance into that support. That actually does look mildly interesting to me. Right, so we were tracking ahead of time that resistance. Is that the best line for it? I'm going to take that out now, though. Right, and I see that we're coming back now into this horizontal support, retesting it. If I added that trend line over there, you could see, like we saw in the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, that same sharp move going on. So that's interesting. Or did that just peak, and are we going to see a bigger correction? I don't know. I don't have these answers. Pound Japanese yen. This might be the one. This might be the time. Let me take a look at that resistance level I have. It's the best I could do. The resistance I have over here. It's the best I could do. I see that the market was rejected by it, right? You could see you never had a resumption off, right? So is the market focused where I have my resistance, or is it focused down here? Do you take a resumption out of this, or do you wait for this to actually clear that resistance level and then come back in for a retest? I don't know. I feel like I'm forcing something right now, Danny, on the Japanese yen. This one, the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen looks a little bit better. That's clean for me coming into that resistance. Is that a possible entry over there? Maybe. I'm not sure though. What about the US dollar, Japanese yen? It's been a long time since I checked in on that. Let's take a look. Right? Trend line breaks. Boom, retest, resuming off, making higher highs over there. So with that sideways dollar, the yen you could see continues to be the weakest of the bunch. Are we going to see risk off into the markets? Is there anything that would change that? Is there anything that would change that? I don't know. Yeah, how would the markets feel about that? Right? They should. They should, but I don't think they're gonna. I think, for my opinion, that as long as they stay under the $1.9 trillion number, that's what they're gonna pass. They don't have to get permission for anything, so it'll be 1.9. I don't think that there's any room for negotiating it lower. So, you know, what's the chance of inflation flips to deflation in the future? QE stops and the rates increased. Yeah, when that's happening, we'll position accordingly. That's not happening though. The opposite is happening, right? So the opposite is happening. So why would you like when I say the markets aren't crashing, is because everyone's always looking for the markets to crash. Except that the amount of time that they spend crashing is so far and few between. Stop looking for the crash, right? So what else? What else are we looking at today? I want to take a further look at the Euro US dollar. Let me take a look at some US dollar pairs. Right? So what's going on with the DXY? I see the DXY looking a little bit bid, coming over that trend line we're seeing over there. Euro was not able to make a higher swing high, coming off over here. Interesting, but not attractive. What about the Australian dollar, US dollar? Where could I find Australian dollar, US dollar? Yeah, I mean that looks pretty bullish, or I say more bullish. Let me clean that up. This is a trade that we've been tracking ever since the entry down over here off of that support, right? Still above where the move stop loss could be, or if you're keeping your stop loss at break even after taking 40% off. A move above here, that's when I would attack the dollar. A move above that resistance, I would attack the dollar, or a move that's holding this support and resuming off of it. But right now we're just into resistance, so that's not attractive at all. Right? What about the pound US dollar? Right? This might be interesting. This might be interesting over here. Again, we're seeing the dollar, which is trading sideways, slightly bid. It might now move up a little further towards that resistance, that channel resistance we were looking at over up here. This could be a distant move. Could we see the dollar continue to be bid over the next couple of sessions, few sessions, or longer? What that would mean for the pound US dollar, right? Would it mean a test of this level again and or lower, right? Where's their stronger support over here? Let me move this up. All right, let me move that up. We'll keep watching it. I don't feel like there's nothing that I'm seeing that I'm like, yep, I want to attack here. Euro British pound down into this important support. If this breaks down over here, that could open up another re-entry on this. This has been one of the easier trades that we've gotten involved with, pointing out over here as January started, and we took out that line of hope over here. Australian dollar, US dollar, another one, but there's not too much happening right now. Where it's not, FX is not like it was, when it's in that expansion zone, and there's just like setups for the take, and you should be involved. Right now, I think just getting involved in these trends that are developing and holding them and pushing them is the best thing. That's why when I looked at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right, and I showed you the 3-day chart yesterday, like we just broke out of that long trend line over here. Huge move. Is this a play on rising inflation? On the reflation? How are we looking for an end of that? What happens if deflation starts? And, that's all not happening right now. So, 939 likes. Today's a day for patience. That's what I like right there, Andy. I agree. Today's a day for patience and enjoying. Let's check out the Euro Australian dollar. Giles just took a short on that. We'll come down to the 8-hour. All right. Breaking through that last swing low over there. So, I would watch as you come down over. No, they got a wild drop. It looks good. I feel like I should have been more involved in this. So listen, you have to understand that you're human, and because of it, you have many weaknesses. You have to have a growth mindset and always be looking to improve. Always desiring to learn and to improve, right? So one of those things I could look at is this, because I was tracking in this blue box this trade for a long time, and when it broke out to the upside over here, I tried to get involved and I got stopped out. And just looking at this truthfully, that's what prevented me when we broke down to the downside from getting involved in it. And that's wrong, right? That's wrong. Each and every trade you take, you have to have the expectation of like a new result, right? And I guess the reason I'm spending time talking about it is just to kind of ingrain in my mind the mistake I made, right? Letting this experience here affect a beautiful setup over here, breaking out of this multi-month sideways consolidation in a downtrend and then resuming downwards. You know, I missed out and I was off. So, all right, everyone. Yeah, Anthony. It's been a while. It's been, let's say, I would say about 8 years since I bought any new Libertards. You know, so what they're going for right now, I don't know. You know, I don't know if there's a premium on them or not. Anyway, everyone, thank you. Thank you for the session. Thanks for Heath. I went ahead and retweeted when he put out his video yesterday. If you're not watching Trade Talk right now, go ahead to my YouTube channel, find out the featured channels, and take a look over at Heath's Trade Talk. This is a video over here that Brandon did last week, February 11th, on Cardano. Talking about, I was here for the live stream talking about it. He makes the case over here, the differences between what's going on in Ethereum and Cardano, right? And if you're interested in learning more about Cardano, Brandon is really passionate about it. Brandon is really early on it, and Brandon continues to be really interested in it. And this, let's take a look at the first minute or two here together.
I'm bullish on ETH. I know everybody, I talk a lot about ADA, and I'm very bullish on ADA. It's the one that's breaking out right now. But Ethereum has the network effect, and the layer 2 scaling solutions are going to help stave off competition from these up-and-coming players. But Cardano has a lot going for it, and I don't think people get it yet. And I've been talking about it a lot. And some of the comments I see on even the CTM group and other places, people still don't get it. Like I've tried to evangelize it quite a bit, but there's still a lack of understanding of what the potential is long term. Like, I want to show you something. Ethereum is still, I mean, everybody knows Ethereum can't scale. That's why they have to go to Ethereum 2.0, right? So Ethereum is basically a test bed.
So, by the way, when he says everyone knows Ethereum can't scale, everyone gets mad at me when I'm like, look, Ethereum's highly speculative. You know, if it works out, it's going to be great. But for me, Bitcoin is not speculative. Bitcoin is proven technology that works exactly as it's supposed to work, enough so that MicroStrategy or Tesla could put over $1 billion into it, right? So that's important for me. That's why I'm focused where I'm focused on. Brandon's making the point here that look, Ethereum is high, Cardano's not. And let's listen a little further.
For this new world model, for this new decentralized financial world, and what Ethereum really is. Let me adjust my camera just a little bit. Ethereum is just a it allows computation on a blockchain, right? Basically, it's a distributed computation element. And so it does something fundamentally different than what Bitcoin does, but it's not even a fully fledged out system, and it's got a $200 billion market cap today. And if I go to DeFi Pulse, you see all the stuff that's built on it today. And this is a platform that we know cannot.
So go to Crypto Trades. I already watched it. I watched it yesterday. I was there for the live stream myself. No, I'm sorry, there wasn't a live stream. I felt like this is maybe. Anyway, watch the video yourself if you're interested in it. Brandon, Crypto Trades and Tech, link below from my channel along with Heath's. And if you're not subscribed to both their channels, make sure you subscribe to them. Do that. Smash that like button. Anyway, everyone, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh no, of course we're going out with some music. I have to pause that for a second. I have to interrupt. You know, listen, could you just put his address in the chat, please? You're never gonna make it. you're just simply never going to make it if you're that lazy. After all, could you imagine the work that I do for you? Could you imagine? Do you think that it's all easy? Then why are so few successful? Right? Could you imagine the amount of experience shared here with you out of pleasure, out of joy? Look, the channel is on my YouTube channel on the feature videos. I linked it for you. You have to go there. You're never going to make it. Sincerely, you're never going to make it unless you really take initiative to really work harder. It takes discipline. Look, there's people like myself out there who spend all our time figuring out how to conquer the markets, right? Now you have other people who paint narratives and just stick to them. The intellectuals, I'll call them, right? When they talk, it's so complicated that you can't even understand what they're saying. This guy must be smart. I can't even understand what he's saying. That's not how it works, right? That's not how I share with you what I know, and I do it happily. But come on, you got to play your part as well. And the only reason this is like a fatherly chat right here. You're never going to make it unless you fix that. That's foundational. That's fundamental. All right, let's hear some music. Oh, oh, whoa. We got a billionaire in the house. Wow, we got a billionaire with us. That's awesome. I was wondering if Elon watches our videos too. I mean, Jeff Bezos needs to start. He's missing out. But wow, that's awesome. Our first one, R1. I'm glad that you're here with us. I'm already working on that for real, but from the ground up, like not just helping, just giving money and helping. And when we can do that in a more organized fashion, for sure, we will do that. I know many of you probably want to do that through a 501 though. Listen, there was another question that I really wanted to cover really quick, and it was boom, 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 boom. Oh, I missed it. Anyway, there was something else that I wanted to cover. I'm sure we'll cover it tomorrow. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it very much, and I'll talk to you soon.